We've got plenty more acts on for you this evening. So our next performer is brand new to Crew Club. We are a bit of a variety show here, as you know, and we have some spoken word for you. So please give a warm welcome to Rachel.
Hi everyone. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous to be here. These are some new poems, so let me know your honest feedback. If you hate it, feel free to boo. We're going to start tonight. This is a little bit of a long one, but I'm going to tell you a story, take you on a little journey, see how this goes. This is called Puppet Master. Ladies and gentlemen, and all you good folk, come one, come all, to see this fine show. Behind the big top, where the acrobats swing, clowns take a tumble, and the divas all sing, you'll find a quaint tent away from the rest, where a small man will tell you his act is the best. So come gather round as the puppet show starts. He'll dazzle your eyes and capture your heart. It starts with a doll, alone on a stage, and with breathtaking beauty on her painted face. You can't see the strings as she dances around, and as the music swells, she won't make a sound. But you marvel at her beauty and grace, her elegant dress of satin and lace. She seems to move with freedom and joy, and you soon forget she's merely a toy. And after the show, Puppet Master appears. He glows with delight as he drinks in the cheers, and you can't help but stare to think he's the star, and you admire his work, at first from afar. Then you creep closer, your cheeks are blushing, and you notice all the other guys and girls who are rushing to tell him he's great, how much they enjoyed it. Oh, he's such a talent, but of course he knows it. And then, across the room, he meets your eyes. And then, with one simple look, you fall for his lies. Around you the crowd thins and grows quiet, and everything dims as his spotlight grows bright. As he opens his mouth and asks for your name, you feel yourself growing and yearning for change. Potion slips from his lips and enters your blood, and all you can feel is joy, peace, and love. He tells you tall tales, faux feminist fables, of history and art and romance with no labels. He tells you he loves you. There's no one like you. You're smarter and prettier, more talented too, than any of the men or women before. Well, except you have that one flaw. But no need to dwell, he'll fix it someday, when you're finally ready to listen to what he has to say. Hollow promises fall from his wine-stained lips, and you believe it all because you want to be his. He promises to give you the whole wide world. You'll be the star of his show, his only girl. But only if you agree to become his next puppet. He'd treat you so well if you just sit down and shut it. Stop making a fuss, stop making noise, forget your old life, become one of his toys. His dazzling smile clouds your best judgment, and you quickly agree to all that you shouldn't. The circus around you fades far away. He ushers you smoothly to the back of the stage, and inside is a workshop filled with wood, paint, and saws. Dust coats all the benches, equipment, and floors. You forget all your plans for candy and cake. Hot dogs and burgers will just have to wait. The usual scents of the fair start to fade, and behind a thick curtain you find a large cage. And inside sits the puppet you saw in his act, and with none of his usual charm or tact, he starts to compare you measure for measure, pointing out both your flaws with some sort of sick pleasure. You shrink away from his touch and cover your ears, but he screams that though she's been with him for years, it's you who is special, and without you he's lost. And you see with a flick of his wrist she is tossed onto a pile of rejects and losers, marionettes he swears he no longer uses. The illusion of beauty and freedom is shattered as you see what he's done to those who once mattered. Hundreds of puppets lay in a heap with broken limbs, split lips, and wounds that run deep. Up close you see cracks and splinters and chips, and that is when Puppet Master flips. With the swiftest of movements, he grabs for your wrist, sweeps you round, and goes in for a kiss. When he tells you you're different, he'd not treat you the same. You're wary, but you start to believe all his claims. You're lost in the moment, lightheaded and giddy, so much so you don't see the strings he has hidden. He loops it around your arms, legs, and head, and begs you to hush. Be compliant instead. You almost don't notice the knots he's weaving, holding you down to stop you from leaving. And soon, you become the star of his show. As he drags you about the stage to and fro, he makes you pose, jump, and dance as a new audience files into the stands. And to them, he's charming, attentive, and loving. They don't see the pain from the wires he's tugging. They don't see the bruises which litter your limbs, or the hours he's lost to wine, whiskey, and gin. You spend days begging him for scraps of attention, till he parades you around and gives you direction, never letting you have a moment of peace. You're walking a tightrope and kept on a leash. And if you dare to say you think he might leave, he showers you with compliments until you believe that he really needs you. You're special, remember? He'd never really hurt you, or at least he didn't intend to. So you tell him you love him, because now you know you're nothing without him and his show, and peace is restored, or at least for the moment, until he gets angry and says that you owe him. Look at all he's done. This is for you. He sacrificed so much if you only knew. But you're just a puppet. You're too stupid to get it. And a true artist like him won't let you forget it. So he threatens to get out his old doll again. Or maybe he'll find a new one this weekend. Either way, you must know, you are replaceable. He spits at you with malice that's unmistakable. And so the months pass in tumultuous glamour, with glitter and art masking his anger, in front of the crowds who don't see what happens after the show when his temper darkens. And slowly you find yourself fading away. Your flesh starts to harden, your voice slips away, your joints become stiffer, and your bones turn to wood. And now, when he strikes you, there's no tears or blood. And you know it's only a matter of time before he tells you again you've stepped out of line. And this time, the bruises won't heal or fade. You'll splinter and crack and be thrown away. But instead of resigning yourself to this fate, one day, you fight back before it's too late. You shake off your shell and find flesh underneath, break open your mouth to eat, speak, and breathe. And with your tongue sharp as Sheffield steel, you slice through his strings and begin to heal. A new woman emerges from that broken old shell, and though you know you've been through hell, your new skin is glowing with power and strength, and your new eyes take in that man and his tent. And where you once admired his beauty and skill, now you can see him with none of his frills. He's a withered old man, lonely and sad, who drinks too much whether he feels good or bad. He's hollow and broken, grasping for attention, prancing around on a stage with shameless pretension. And without one last glance, you run from the circus. You leave that old fool with no friends or purpose. And while you, alone, live your life to the fullest, you look back and ask yourself, what's a puppeteer without any puppets? And it's a little bit scary. It's, if you couldn't tell, about a bad relationship I was in. I know, it was subtle.
Just straight back on marriage. Kind of nothing subtle,
But yeah, my next one is a new one that I've been working on very recently. And so I'm assuming not many of you know me, it's not my friends, but by day I'm a YouTuber and I make a lot of videos online. And as I'm getting older, I get a lot of comments, mostly from men, telling me I'm running out of time, that I need to hurry. So this is a poem about that. I'm turning 30, and everyone says I need to hurry. Meet a man, and meet him soon. Doesn't matter who, just get a groom. Get married, wed, hitched, espoused. Settle down, then buy a house. Fall into a 9-to-5 and learn to be a perfect wife. Pop out babies 1, 2, and 3. Live your life as naught but a referee to feuding kids and dejected hubby, drowning in deepening pits of stress, debt, and worry. Better rush to grab it before time runs out. You'll hit the wall soon, I have no doubt. No one will want you without beauty or youth. You've got a year or 2 max, if I'm telling the truth. And my God, doesn't it sound like hell? That life has never been for me. I don't want kids, a house, or domesticity. I want love, passion, and to work creatively. I love my dog, my job, my art, my life. I'm happiest being a woman, not a wife. I don't need a contract to define my love. Is it really so shocking that I alone am enough? A partner's just a bonus, but a nice one at that. He's smart, he's kind, he's great to look at. But still, every day, they come in violent swarms, like a plague of locusts kicking up storms. Mostly online, but sometimes in person, with warnings and threats and attempts at coercion, telling me I'm wrong, I must change my line, because I'm not a real woman till I fall in line. And here's what they've said, and I wish I was joking, but word for word, these are real people I'm quoting. It's genuine concern for your future. You're wasting valuable time. You'll spend over half your life in sorrow if you don't continue your bloodline. Stop denying your nature. You need to leave a legacy. Serve a high-value man. And of course, choose pregnancy. I've been told I have a satanic mindset. So to find a man, I must cast a wide net. I'm told I obviously have a psychological dysfunction. Or then there's a man who thinks I'm afraid of being a woman. They call me selfish, a spinster, a lazy old whore. The same old boring insults we've all heard before. They tell me I'm quickly running out of time, act like aging is somehow a curse or a crime, say my eggs are dried up, decaying and wasted, like I'll have nothing left to offer once my fertility has faded. Sure, month by month, I watch my eggs passing like sand through an unwanted hourglass that I really can't stand. I just want it to empty, for the flow to stop, forever, for better. Because you know what? I can't wait to be older and wiser, to be bolder and brighter. I'm tired of this narrative. It's outdated and boring. That instead of living and learning, educating and exploring, a woman's only suitable occupation, apparently, is to spawn the next oppressed generation. So let me make this one thing clear. I am a woman who is child-free by choice. Not childless, not lonely, not empty, not void. I am content and complete with a life full of joy. And I don't need to pass on blood, bones, or genetics. And I don't need a countdown or to be told I'll regret it. My art leaves a legacy that will inspire generations without causing pain or pollution or risking overpopulation. We women are defined by our strengths and our hearts, not arbitrary things like a womb or body parts. So next time a man warns you, the clock is ticking, ignore that fool and just love the life you're living. Because while he's nothing but sour and shallow and spineless, you, as a woman, are stunning and timeless. Thank you so much, everyone. So this poem I'll read is about childhood and how it affects us as adults. And hopefully it's not too miserable. I envied Saturday morning cartoon heroes. That thing and his wings a shield of steel, or William's wishful items wishing him away. Robin's speed and Superman's flight, and Batman's strength to fight for what's right. I envied them. The last time he hit me was with a tennis racket around the head, and seeing stars I lay on grass while birds flew overhead, circling and frenzied. Just like the cartoons, each week was just like the last, but each a little different. But soon I learned I couldn't jump straight back up like the heroes I envied. And that day, the last day, I thought back to each time his hand would swap my flesh so hard it would pulse and the skin would raise and swell and smart in the shape of his adult palm. I never grew my wings of steel or learnt what justice really was. And the bruises fade but never heal, and maybe that's why I still feel helpless. And 15 years or more have passed, and I find myself once more laying on a dirty floor, wishing for Batman to burst through the door or drop in from the shadows above, as I let another man bruise and beat and batter me, because for all I know, that's just how men love. Thank you.
So yeah, please give a very warm welcome to the wonderful Rachel Oates.
Hi everyone. A little bit nervous to be here, a little bit nervous to follow you guys. Like, you were amazing, so it's an honour. So I'm going to start with a poem that is kind of about bodily autonomy. And funnily enough, the last time I performed this was actually at Glastonbury, and me and my friends were there as part of a collective, an all-women's collective. It's meant to, highlight women in arts and music and that sort of thing. And I performed this at midnight on the day when America revoked Roe v. Wade. And it was emotional. And even though we're in the UK, everyone in the room was really feeling it, because it's terrifying as a woman to have your rights to your body taken away. Whether you have a uterus or not, I think we're all affected. So that's kind of what this poem's about, and it's called Room. There's a room in my house that everyone has an opinion about. And some days I'll be sitting at home when a gaggle of people barge in, uninvited, to inspect the room. They warn me, it's no use sitting empty. Think of the potential. Be more grateful. Some people aren't lucky enough to have a room like this. And I'm sorry for them, of course, but why did they get to decide what I do with my room in my house? Daily, I'm interrogated from every angle. How many people have passed through here? How long did they stay? And then squinting at me with hushed voices. Did they leave, or did you evict them? They look at me like I'm a landlord from hell. Like I'm a monster. Like I'm a landlord from hell to a room that's always been vacant. This just won't do, they chastise. And who wants an old, used room anyway? Storming out in disgust, they don't hear my sighs of relief. And as the years go by, I place a padlock and chain around the room, only to have men in suits show up with paper bolt cutters to tear it down. Men, women, and children saunter in with buckets of paint, ladders, hammers, and a measuring tape. They legislate to redecorate. They tell me I need a minimum of 3 previous occupants, and to marry a man who'll decide for me before they trust a silly little woman like me to place a lock on her own property. Without my locks, I live in fear that one day I'll wake up and find an unwanted guest in my spare room. A plague or pest or strange dark mold will sneak in. At first, so subtle I don't even notice it. But quickly and quietly, it'll spread through the rest of my home, decaying and degrading as it goes. The neighbours pop round to tut at me as I'm furiously scrubbing the walls until I bleed, to remind me that each life is precious and they'd kill for a spore or two of their own. They don't realise that where they see pets and guests, I only see pain and pests. So unwelcome, I'd rather burn my home to the ground than keep them there. A friend of mine has a roommate who keeps her up all night and makes a lot of noise and leaves her stuff all over the house. And she often asks me, with bags under her eyes and pity on her face and maybe just a quiet hint of envy in her voice, doesn't it get quiet? Lonely? Sad? Sure, you like the silence now, she warns. But what about the future? You'll change your mind. And I want to remind her that I didn't comment when she painted her walls bright pink, or spent 3 months' wages on a new sofa, or built 2 new extensions before she paid off the first. But I don't, because it's still not my business. And there's a room in my house, and sometimes it feels like everyone's voice is louder than mine. But when I'm alone, I can sit in that room and enjoy it, appreciate it, really get to know it. I run my fingers along its smooth walls and lay on the thick, soft carpets and stare up at the unblemished ceiling. And I bask in the calm and the quiet and inhale the scent of freedom and home and the joy of being alone that is so uniquely me. And once I've reminded myself that empty does not mean it is without purpose, without beauty, without joy. Empty is not lonely or cold or wasted potential. Empty is exactly what I make of it. My responsibility, my gift, and my burden. And I won't bend or break or lean or fall. I'll maintain my right to close the door. Because I can. And I close the door because there's a room in my house, and it is all mine. Thank you. It's been a while since I did that one. I stumbled a little bit. Thank you. I hope that's a point that can be quite universal for everyone, whether you have a uterus or not. I feel like bodily autonomy is something that sometimes is kind of forgotten, but is really important for all of us. And that's kind of what I want to get across with that. But to bring the mood down, as we do, I also have a poem about a bad relationship. And this is one where, has anyone here dated a musician? Anyone? There we go. It's not good, right? Now, have you ever dated a famous musician who has written a song about you that has then got hundreds of thousands of listens on Spotify? Yeah, it sucks. This is a poem about that. Ripping open my chest, you snap the ribs one by one and arrange my organs around you on stage, your own private orchestra. You plucked the stitches from my seeping skin like honeyed guitar strings, note by note, making a melody from my memories. You tie twine to my teeth, shove them in a box and call it a piano. Pound on my heart while I keep skipping beats. You wave blood-soaked hands around, directing my parts this way and that. Squeeze my lungs like an accordion and stomp your feet while my tuneless breath catches in my callously displayed throat. And yet, it still surprises me how quick you are to discard this discord that you created, amplified, and quickly hated. Thank you. And to end on a happier note, I don't write a lot of happy poems, but this is one where I wrote a lot of sad stuff. I wrote about child abuse. I wrote about bad relationships. I wrote about some pretty rough stuff in my life. And then I finally felt myself coming out of it. And I was like, you know what? There is hope. There is excitement. There is passion. There is love. And this is a poem about that. And it's called South Bank. And this is the first time we're performing this. So again, if I mess it up... Thank you. Standing on the South Bank, the sky is aglow with sapphires and plums, just begging to be plucked and sucked dry. Hunger swells and I want to feast, to ravish the flesh until the sweet juices drip down my chin like the bead of sweat forging a path down the back of my knee. We're caught up in meandering crowds like blossoms swept downstream until you stop, rooted on the Millennium Bridge. You pick stars like pomegranate seeds and place each between my eager lips. The scent of anticipation saturates the air, and I drink the last drops of twilight with you. Thank you so much, everyone.